Hello everyone, it's me Arden Lee. I am back today with another video, and in today's video I want to talk about this idea that when we go on a personal growth journey, there's times that we're going to run into difficulties and frustrations because we are letting go of so much of our behavior, our habits, and our old ways of being that no longer serve us. And when we let go of those things, there is this emptiness that comes over us, that I often refer to with my clients as the void or the abyss, right? The emptiness, like the never-ending story. Only in this case, the emptiness is actually a positive thing. The space that is created is the point. So I'm going to get into a little bit about that and about the ways that that serves us. Of course, before I do that, as always, I would love to invite you to subscribe to my channel. On this channel, I love to make videos about belief hacking, examining our patterns, reframing our mindsets, and optimizing our habits, bringing conscious awareness to our choices so that we can optimize our lives for success, for happiness, for abundance, for all the things that we want to call in, for all the changes that we want to make within the course of our personal development. So if that sounds like something you're into, go ahead and check out the description box, and I have a link in there to a free PDF guide to my course, The Repatterning Project, which is an 8-week course that I've created where I teach all of my belief hacking and pattern examination tactics and techniques so that you can apply them to your own life in order to optimize your own life for your personal growth and your self-improvement. And I also have in the description box a link to the Repatterning Parlor, which is a Facebook group that I moderate full of like-minded individuals, so you can get support from other people who are on the same path, which, as you know, is key to success in your journey, that you're surrounded by those people who are also going to support you, who are going to reinforce your new and positive habits. So go ahead and check those links out, and I would love to see you there. And if you do join, make sure you make a post and introduce yourself to me. Let me know where you found me. I'd love to connect with you. All right, so let's talk about this idea of the abyss, the void, right? The void is the point. When you have made a commitment to yourself to let go of your old ways of being that no longer serve you, there's going to be that space that's created. And for a lot of people, that can be really uncomfortable. I know for me, there were definitely times on my own personal journey where it was like, well, what do I do if I don't do the old things that I did before? And luckily for me, I found plenty of things to occupy my time and my energy. But for a while, it was like I was, I didn't know what to do with myself, so I did things like baking cookies. I baked, like, I was like, what can I do? That's not my old habit. That's at least going to add some positivity to the world. And I, like, for the past couple years in a row, I baked like over 200 Christmas cookies, and I gave them out to my friends, and I was like, am I being weird, you guys? This is really extra. I made like my special, like, goth rock Christmas cookies, with like, they were Christmas cookies, but they were like, they were like pentagrams and stuff, and because I just needed somewhere to place my energy. I did so many things that were so extra, that year, in terms of how I chose to occupy myself. But it was really a coping mechanism for me, because I was like, I don't have toxic relationships to give my energy to. I don't have, I don't have fuckboys to baby anymore. I don't have, when I had problems with my own personal boundaries, I had so much of my energy occupied worrying about other people and their problems and their lives. I was one of those women who was taking care of everyone around me and not valuing myself and not taking care of myself. I got into plenty of relationships with people that I desired, but I desired them for the wrong reasons. Or at the very least, my desire for them was not healthy because they were people who were actually causing me more anxiety by being in my life than not. But if they weren't in my life, I didn't know what to do with myself. When I decided for myself that I was going to stop engaging in toxic relationships, I had all this time on my hands, and and so there were things that I did that were kind of funny when I look back at it, and they weren't unhealthy. They were just kind of strange. I was just like, who bakes 200 Christmas cookies and goes to their favorite party and just gives out bags of them to their friends? Like, who has time for that? Me. I had time for that because I wasn't dating toxic people who were taking up all my energy, and all of a sudden there was all this space that was created, right? I would do things like I made like witchy bath formulas for my friends. I'd make like a dozen of these. I'd make like a big batch of like a thing in witchcraft that's called a Santeria white bath, right? And I made like a dozen of them in a bunch of mason jars, and I brought them out to a party, and I just gave them to my friends, right? I was like, who does that? Now, it was nice. It was a nice gesture. Like I said, it was a little bit extra, but I had been so extra in my relationships, and energetically speaking, it's like if you have this rush of energy that I see is like, like metaphorically, it's kind of like a river, right? I have this river of this current, this stream of energy that is going from me that had been going into my toxic relationships. And it's nearly impossible to just try and cut that off right away, because it doesn't work that way. It's like trying to build up a big dam there. That energy is going to knock against it. It has nowhere to go, right? It needs somewhere to go. So I redirected that current instead. It's like Aikido, right? Instead of just trying to cut it off or block it entirely or pretend that energy isn't existing within me, I redirected it. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna spoil the men that I'm dating anymore. I'm gonna spoil my friends. I throw dinner parties and things like that. I can take all of that energy and put it into baking cookies, making presents, throwing dinner parties, whatever. At least I'm doing that in that case for my friends who appreciate me and who are going to add more positivity into my life. And eventually I redirected that current even more into my own work, into my own, not only my work on myself, my personal development work, but also my career work. I started really taking myself seriously. I started, as you guys have probably seen, I'm creating more content now than I ever was able to do before. There's all of this energy that I had been spending in these other ways that I've now redirected into something that's actually going to sustain me. So it's like, what do you do with your time when you cut this off? And this could be about your relationships, but it could also be about anything toxic that you're giving your energy to. For a lot of people, when we look at things like substance abuse, addiction, alcoholism, there's this, it's a pattern, right? Something happens, something triggers you, and you reach for a drink, right? That's the thing that you reach for. So now, when people who are alcoholics or who have substance misuse problems, when they get into programs, there's this thing that's like, oh, they're just subbing out alcoholism. They're subbing their alcoholism or their addiction for a program, for AA or NA or whatever program they feel suits them. And that's sometimes said with derision, but it's actually a positive thing because they're redirecting the current. Oh, I was going to reach for a drink before, but now instead I'm going to go to a meeting, right? So this idea that when we change our habits, when we change our patterns deliberately, and we stop doing the things that were not serving us before, the things that were actually causing energy, that we were giving energy to things that were actually causing more issues in our life than not, and we stopped doing those things. It's come up for some clients of mine where they have a real hard time not slipping back into those patterns because it's so difficult to face the void, to face that emptiness, to face that space that is created when they stop that toxic behavior. And my point is here is that the void is the point. Finding that space, that silence that is created when it's all of a sudden just you, when you don't have those same distractions to leak your energy out into anymore, and you're left alone with yourself. And that's the point at which so many people want to give up and they want to quit. And they want to, go on Tinder again. And they want to, whatever it was that they were doing before, whatever pattern they were engaging in that was adding more anxiety to their lives, because it's so difficult to just sit alone with yourself. Because why do you think those patterns are formed in the first place? Because it's so difficult to just sit alone with yourself. But this is the point. This is why we do it. When you reach that point where you're like, I don't know what to do, I'm just sitting alone with myself, where do I go from here? That's exactly the question. That's the point that you want to be at, because now it is just you. It is just you alone with yourself, and you get to use all of this energy and this space to start building out a sustainable life for yourself. I'm not going to say that this is easy. People who have any kind of addictive patterns, any kind of toxic patterns whatsoever, there are reasons that those patterns are formed. And when people engage in, I'm just going to use addiction as an example, because addiction is a type of pattern. When they don't have their substance to go to, and all of a sudden they're alone with themselves and they're sober, do you think that's easy? It's not easy at all. But that's the point. The point is to get reacquainted with yourself and to stop distracting yourself from yourself. That's why we do this work. And it is from that space that you create freedom. All of a sudden, when you're not immediately jumping into your old patterns once again, you have the freedom to create. You have infinite possibilities. All of a sudden, you can use your energy to do anything. And for me, for a while, it was baking cookies, because that was just the thing that I could think of. That was a thing that I could do that made me feel better, right? Like anxiety baking is totally a thing, self-care baking, self-soothing baking, because I felt like I was doing something that in some way was contributing positivity to the world, even if it was just that momentary joy of giving a friend a bag of cookies. I did that so often. There was a time actually about 2 years ago this time, I decided to try out 5 different recipes for a birch snap cookie. I bought some birch syrup and I was like, I want to invent a birch snap cookie, and I'm going to invent 5 different recipes, and these recipes are going to compete amongst each other. I'm going to give out 25 boxes of 5 cookies each, labeled in frosting with numbers 1 through 5, and make 25 of my friends vote on which cookie is the best. Who does this? Me. I did that because I needed something to do that wasn't the thing that I had done before. And maybe that's weird. Maybe people looked at me and was like, what is she doing with these cookies? Why is it such a big deal to her to create the ideal birch snap cookie? It was a big deal to me because I needed something to do that wasn't the thing that I had been doing. So my point is, the abyss is the point. That's why we get there. And when you get to that point where it's the abyss and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know, I want to do the old thing I was doing again. Why shouldn't I do that? And your mind will start coming up with all these excuses for why you should get to do that thing again. But you don't want to do that. You got to the point of the abyss in the first place so you could sit with yourself. And you could take your power back and take that energy back and realize your creative freedom to do anything that you want with that energy and to start doing it in a positive way. So first for me, it was baking cookies, whatever. And then, it was really committing to my music career. And then it was committing to my coaching programs, It was really committing to creating something that is sustainable for myself, something that is going to put me in a place where I could be free, could be happy, could be contributing to the world in a way that also allows me to receive for that effort in return, whether that was in friendship or whether it was in my career. So when you get to the void, celebrate, you guys. When you get to that point where you are uncomfortable by yourself, you are right on the edge of a breakthrough. You are right there. And if you can sit there and be with that discomfort and make it through to the other side, however you choose to make it through, without going back to that thing that you did before that's going to suck you right back into that same energy that you've been in, that you're trying to get over, that you're, if you're one of my clients, that you're like hiring me to help you get over. If you can do that, if you can just stick it out, your freedom is right on the other side of it. So the void is the point, you guys. If you get to the void, consider yourself lucky because you're right on the edge of a breakthrough. All right? I hope this was helpful. Stick with it. You can do it. Be strong. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.